Hey y'all, here we are on our last page of the fractions part 3 test, and this covers 4L through 4N. All right, so let's get started here. We are solving equations. We're going to remember to show opposite operations on both sides of the equal sign when we solve equations. So our first problem is 1/6 times x equals 1/12. Well, we know that we do the opposite of what's being done to the variable. So right here we are multiplying x times 1/6. So we're going to have to divide both sides by 1/6. But we also know, we've learned in this unit, that dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So I'm going to take that shortcut. Instead of writing divided by 1/6, I'm going to write down multiply by 6/1, because that's how we divide fractions. We multiply by the reciprocals. So these cancel each other out. We just have x here. I see that I can simplify 6 and 12, both divide by 6, and multiply. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 1 is 2, so my answer here is 1/2. So x is equal to 1/2 in that first problem. Second one, we've got 2/3 times y equals 4 2/3. So we're multiplying 2/3 times y. We're going to do the opposite, which is to divide by 2/3, which of course means that we multiply by its reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 3/2 here on both sides of the equal sign, and you do need to show both sides of the equal sign. All right, then 4 times 3, we need to change this mixed number into an improper fraction. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14/3, times 3/2. Look for places to make my life simpler. Both of these divide by 3. Both of these divide by 2. And we've got 7/1, or 7. So y here is equal to 7. Next one, 3 times x equals 1/5. We're going to divide both sides by 3. That gets rid of that there. And we have x equals 1/5 divided by 3. So we make that 3/1. And this is x equals 1/5. We keep the first fraction, change the operation, flip the second fraction, and so you can see that x is 1/15 here. Alrighty, next one, 5/6 equals y divided by 4. Now here's our variable, so we've switched the side of the equal sign. This is dividing by 4, so we're going to multiply both sides by 4. I'm going to make that 4/1 over here. This is eliminated, and I see that 4 and 6 both divide by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10, and 1 times 3 is 3, so that's equal to y. That's an improper fraction, so we take our 10 and divide it by 3. 3 divides into 10 3 times, so I know that's my whole number. I do my subtraction, I have 1 left over, that's my numerator, and my denominator is the number I divided by. So y is 3 1/3. All right, now we've got 3 times x divided by 7 equals 15. So again, we're going to treat this like a fraction, which is what it is, and we're going to multiply by its reciprocal to get rid of it, to be done with it. So we're going to multiply both sides by 7/3 here. So this is gone here, and we just have x. Look for places to simplify. 15 and 3 both divide by 5. And so we've got 5 times 7 is 35, and 1 times 1 is 1, so this x is equal to 35. All right. Now we're on our bottom here. We're doing order of operations. We want to remember PEMDAS. First we do parentheses, then we look for exponents, then we look for either multiplication or division. We just do those in order from left to right, and then add or subtract in order from left to right. Okay, so our first problem has some parentheses. We're going to, first of all, add 2/3 and 2/5. So I'm going to change those to a denominator of 15. I have to multiply 3 times 5 to get 15, so its numerator 2 times 5 gives me 10. 5 times 3 gives me this 15, so its numerator 2 times 3 gives me 6. When I add those together, I get 16/15. Now that's the first part. I've taken care of this. That's done. Now I need to take my 4 and 4/15 and subtract my 16/15. So 4 and 4/15, and we subtract our 16/15. Okay, so we're going to need to borrow from the 4. make that a 3, and add the value of the denominator to the numerator. So that's 19. 16 from 19 is going to give us 3/15. 3 minus 0 is 3. And then that 3/15 reduces to 1/15. So we've got 3 and 1/15 for our answer here. Alrighty, then we're moving on to number 27 here. So we've got, we don't have any parentheses, we don't have any exponents, but we're multiplying and dividing in order from left to right. So we're going to do this division first. Remember, multiply or divide they don't take precedence over each other. It's just whichever comes first in the problem. So my first problem that I'm going to work out is my 1 1/5 divided by 5/7. Going to change this to an improper fraction. 1 times 5 is 5 plus 1 is 6/5. Change the operation to multiplication and flip the fraction that I'm dividing by. Don't see any opportunities to simplify there. And so I see that 6 times 7 is 42 and 5 times 5 is 25. Now I've taken care of this. I did that problem. So I'm going to take the result of that division and multiply it by the rest of my problem, which is 1/6. I see here that I can divide 42 and 6 both by 6. And so I do 7 times 1 and 25 times 1 is 7/25. So my answer to this problem is 7/25. All right, last one. Here we go. So we've got parentheses here. We're going to do what's in the parentheses first, and then when we get that result, we'll square it or multiply it by itself, and then finally we'll multiply by 2/3. So we've got 5/4 divided by 5, and I'll make that 5/1. We keep the first fraction, change the operation, flip the second one. 5 and 5 both divide by 5. 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 1 is 4, so that's 1/4. Now we've taken care of this part of the problem. Now we have to square it. Square it means multiply it by itself. So we're going to do 1/4 times 1/4. That's this. We're squaring it now. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 4 is 16. 1/16. So we've taken care of that. And now we have to multiply by 2/3. So we take our 1/16 and we multiply that by 2/3. Look for places to simplify. I can divide both of those by 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 8 times 3 is 24. And so our final answer to this problem is 1/24. All right, guys, that's it. If you have any questions, make sure you ask in class, and good luck on your test.